So now that I've had about almost a week to digest how the ending of Scream Season 2 went and kind of think about how this entire season went, I thought it'd be best to do a review now, because now I can think back to everything I did right and wrong and offer more of an analysis. I don't plan to go into spoilers in this video. I plan to do that in another video, so don't worry, no spoilers. I'll just maybe tell you at the end of this video whether this season is worth watching or not, or whether it's just kind of skippable and you should watch the Halloween special instead. And with that, I'd like to go into the characters. Okay, so given how many characters got killed off last season, they decided to introduce a whole slew of new characters while also reintroducing Emma, Audrey, Noah, Kieran, Jake, Brooke, and Emma's mother as well as Brooke's mother back to us and kind of showing us how they've been, with new additions to some of the characters like Emma's PTSD and Noah still looking for Piper's accomplice, and Audrey dealing with all of the stuff that she's trying to hide. Just new additions here and there, and then Jake and Brooke have also started a relationship. So I like the fact that these characters' lives have moved on. I'll talk about them more in a bit, but I want to go to all the side characters that got introduced, like the new sheriff, his son, some of Kieran's family, a few new students, and a new teacher. And I just have to say, some of these were nice additions. Like, I liked Sheriff Acosta. He was borderline dislikable sometimes, but overall I liked him. Gustavo was a big red herring, but he turned to be likable up until whether they were going to reveal him or not, because you were never sure if they were going to reveal him. I won't tell you. Season finale will tell you that. Those two were likable enough. Both were borderline on it. Gustavo could be extra creepy sometimes, but he could also be likable with stuff he was doing. But I gotta say, a lot of the other additions were just too unlikable, and I know you're supposed to be characters you love to hate, but they were just more annoying. Kieran's aunt was just there. She didn't really serve a purpose outside of a few minor plot points, and she was just kind of irrelevant for the most part. She did do stuff, but it was rather irrelevant. His cousin Eli was really unlikable and was also a major red herring character. Whether that red herring he was innocent or guilty, you have to watch the season finale or watch my spoiler video. And the two of the new students that got introduced, I liked Zoe. I thought she added something to Noah's character, and I liked her overall. I thought her and Noah had very good chemistry this season. But Haley served her purpose well enough, but there are some times where she wasn't needed, and she was really annoying, and she was a bitch. And so, while it was a character you're rooting for to die, it didn't make her screen time that enjoyable. Whether she died or not, like I said, you gotta watch the season if you want that, or watch my spoiler video, because I'm not gonna go into any deaths here. And then the new teacher, Miss Lane, seems helpful at first, but then you start to learn more about her, and you just kind of left wondering what her deal is, because that's not entirely resolved this season either. So like I said, a mixed bag of new characters, some likable, some not too likable. They do add some things, but they also detract, just because they're trying to make a lot of them red herrings, make you suspect these new characters because these are the new people you haven't met before. But they might do it a little bit too much to where even if they were to reveal one of those, you wouldn't be surprised. You might be disappointed just because of how obvious they were, it seemed to you. Now back onto the main characters. Kieran does some nice things this season. I like him overall in this season. His actor gives some decent performances, but he could be rather bland, and there were some episodes where he was actually missing, which might have been to add a red herring element to him, but oddly enough, it didn't really make sense why he wasn't there, because they didn't give an explanation of why he wasn't there. I like what happened with this character overall this season, though he could have mourned his dad a little bit more, because that was shown to bug him, along with the deaths of his stepfather and mother. It could have been shown to have affected him some more. Like I said, I liked his character overall, but it could have been developed more. Noah was really unlikable at the beginning of the season. I really didn't like Noah. He was pushing Emma to do stuff she didn't want. He was really, really trying to get into stuff he shouldn't. And then actually, near the end of the series, the season 2, I was starting to dislike him because of how he was treating Audrey. And yes, he was getting into a relationship with someone and he didn't want Audrey around as much anymore, or he was taking the side of the person he was in a relationship with, but he handled that badly. I didn't like what he did afterwards because that wasn't the appropriate time to do that. He just came a little too sex craved, really. He had emotional connection, but he came a little too sex craved. But like from episode 10 onwards, I started to like his character again. And before he started to get more sex craved, I was liking his character a bit too. He's the only one really seeming to investigate, because unlike last season, there's barely any investigating, and that was kind of annoying. Audrey's character goes through some of the most interesting stuff this season. From the first episode on, you're just really curious how things go with her. And I'd maybe have to say the ultimate payoff with what she was involved with last season was kind of disappointing, because apparently the new writers this season might have done some rewriting and got rid of some of the old canon to make their own without making too many plot holes. It's just, I don't know which one would have been better. It was just kind of weak, her explanation of what happened last season and why she wanted to keep it hidden so much. But overall, I liked what she was going through this season, though she did become a little boring after a bit, but what was going on with her character was pretty interesting. Brooke goes through a lot this season. She has a lot of emotional stuff this season, and her actress does a good job portraying a lot of that. She is missing for a lot of the series, and that does kind of make her character seem a little bit more irrelevant. They could have used her character more, but overall, I liked what happened with her character. It just she could have been used more. Jake, I didn't really like Jake much last season. I continue to not really like Jake this season, but they used him well enough this season. They gave him good screen time, and they decided to use him in the correct way, so I enjoyed that. And as for the main character, Emma, I don't remember saying anybody that I talked about. No. As for the main character, Emma, I'd have to say the PTSD angle doesn't really go anywhere, which is kind of disappointing. It's developed and it plays a part, but they could have played it up more. It does add stuff like earlier on and makes you wonder how old there she is, and it shows this character's been through a lot, and I appreciate that, but it was a bit underused. I'd also have to say that her actress did a good job in parts of the season, a bad job in other parts, and she was a mixed bag performance-wise. But as for all the characters, that's where my thoughts. Mayor, Maddox, and Maggie were mad this season. I didn't really care about them. They were basically the same characters from last season. They didn't really have a hell of a lot of development, and they weren't too relevant. Maggie was relevant because of her Brandon James connection that came into play, and Mayor Maddox was relevant because he has some shady shit here. That's always going to come into play. But overall, just a mixed bag with characters this season. There's some stuff better than last season, some stuff worse. But overall, I'd say they're maybe about the same. With season 1, maybe an edge, just because it was the first time we introduced, and they didn't have as many unlikable characters. Because they killed off the most unlikable one in the first episode. The beginning. Season 1, with Nina. I'll go into the killer reveal now. I won't say who it is, but I just have to say I was disappointed by it. It was the person playing the killer in their reveal was hit and miss. I saw what they were going for, but they couldn't quite nail it. And from what I heard, they had just learned it, so I don't think they had much time to prepare. So that kind of affected their performance. And just the reveal was disappointing, and I just didn't really like it as much. It kind of soiled the season finale for me a bit. Until the last minute, which set up the Scream Halloween special, and I will talk about that last minute in my spoiler video. So if you don't want that spoiled, watch the season finale, or just watch the last minute of the season finale if you don't feel like going through the entire season finale, and then I'll kind of just set you up for the Halloween special. The story of this season was like a lot of the show, hit and miss. I liked what they were doing with Audrey's character. I liked the killer constantly trying to mess with her and do all this, trying to guilt trip her, and we were left wondering how that went. And I was enjoying that, and it ended several episodes with really good cliffhangers. I was just really addicted. But then just after a while, it kind of petered out, and they dragged some storylines out too long, and it really affected the series negatively, I'd have to say. And the ultimate payoff on what she did last season was, like I said, kind of disappointing. A little bit boring, honestly. All the kills this season were violent. They were violent. The kills this season were violent. Just God, there were some creative deaths, some creative scenes, but there was a disturbing lack of scream deaths in this series. It was more like deaths from other movies. There wasn't really too many knife kills. There weren't really that many chase scenes. So it was gory, yes, and some of them were very creative and just really memorable and stuff, but they weren't very scream. And some of the best moments in this series are when it emulates the original movies with the chases, with the calls. And there was just a lack of that in much of the series. And like I said, there was a lack of an investigative element. No one besides the sheriff is really investigating much. And they were investigating a hell of a lot last season. So that made them all look kind of useless and kind of left us a lot of dead space when it came to just episodes. Because a lot of them felt like filler. And like I said, Killer's motivation for this season was fine. Overall, I just thought it was a little meh, but it was fine enough. And one of the most disappointing things about this season was how much it set up promising things like the lockdown at the school, the carnival grounds, and just that how they set up that season finale. They had good setups, but they didn't really do much with them. The lockdown one, I was really looking forward to that episode. They were making it seem like the killer was inside the school. The school's in lockdown. What's gonna happen? Nothing. Oh, they're at a carnival. What's gonna happen? A really bad scene that kind of just makes it very obvious who the killer is if you're paying attention to the minor details, and it was very poorly done, and I was rather disappointed by it. And what they did with the season finale, they had a good setup with everything, but they didn't do really anything with it except for just the whole going from place to place and not wanting the police to find them, just without giving away what was happening. Just not much use. Like, a lot of good ideas, but not a lot of good execution this season, sadly. But I did like a lot of the character moments this season. It did have a lot of good character moments. It gave some characters good screen time, and I will say, up until the killer reveal, or at least until, like, maybe 10 minutes before the killer reveal, for some people, I'd kind of figured out the previous episode. But up until maybe that last 10 minutes before the killer is revealed, and maybe even up to it, if you just didn't quite get all the hints, I was really curious. I was really wondering how many killers there were, who were the killers. I really didn't know for sure because they had plenty of probable suspects, and I appreciated that. It was one of the reasons that I was able to get through this season, because it wasn't obvious who the killer was. I mean, it was obvious to some people, but a lot of the characters were obvious killers, so that would be what anybody would say once you got to who the killer was. Or killers, it could be too. I'm not going to spoil that for you. Not this video, anyway. And they did a good job with that, but unfortunately that was one of the main reasons I was able to get through this season, because a lot of it was boring. There were just a lot of dragged episodes that really didn't have anything prevalent happening. There was one episode where only relevant thing that happened was everybody got drugged. That was a really boring episode, and that was actually a decent setup and concept. The ending of that episode was good, but the rest of it was pretty boring. And that was after a really good 3 previous episodes. So, just very hit and miss this season. But last season was very hit and miss as well. So, if you liked last season, you'll probably like this season. And if you're just wanting to continue with the series because you're a Scream fan or you're just really watching this for binge watching on Netflix, you'll be able to get through the season. You'll be curious about the things. Like I said, this series has not been able to reach its full potential, but it has had some high points, even though it's had some major low points. But I'd say for season 2, I would say don't skip it unless you just really want to just get to the end already, because it looks like the Halloween special might be the end. I kind of hope it is the end because they don't really know what else they can do now. But I would say watch Scream season 2, but on some of the more boring episodes, you could probably just have it on the background and listen, and that might help your experience a little bit. Pay attention to the important moments, but you can skip out on some of the unimportant moments. There are some minor details that seem like they're going to play out huge later, but that's later. And I do have to say, they did seem to sacrifice this season a little bit to set up the Halloween special, and that kind of annoyed me. But that might have just been because they realized they have to end the series on the Halloween special, so they want to end it on a high note, so they moved it to the Halloween special. So we'll have to see how that one goes. But other than that, like I said, I recommend the season. It has its flaws, yes, but so did season 1. And I did like watching this season for the most part. After digesting it, I did enjoy my experience watching this season. I'm a Scream fan, so I enjoyed the parts that were Scream. And other than that, nothing else to really say, but maybe subscribe to my channel, like this video, or dislike this video if you feel like it. Maybe share this video, and other than that, nothing to say but later.